All right, let's continue on with our wall adventure here. Next thing we're going to do is talk about the materials of the wall and how we want to adjust all of that. And you have to do that, otherwise you're just going to have a nothing wall. Right now it says generic 8-inch. That is absolutely nothing. Okay, so we have to let the people who are building this structure, we have to let them know what to build the walls out of. All right, so we're going to go over here to, we clicked on this wall. We're going to start with that one. And we're going to click on this button that says Edit Type. All right, now I'm going to duplicate Edit Type. And I'm going to name this wall something that's going to actually represent what it's made of and what it's going to look like. So I'm going to say, 2x4 lumber and clapboard finish. And I'm going to click OK. Next thing I need to do is edit the structure by going into the structure row and clicking on Edit. All right, and you see right now it is labeled as structure, but it's by category as far as the material is concerned, which again, that is nothing. Okay, so I'm going to click on this by category, or actually let me explain what you're also seeing here in the box. What you're seeing are the different sides. You see the exterior side. That is the side that is outside, the one that gets rained on. It could be made of brick or wood, whatever stuff like that. Then you've got the interior side down below. That is the inside, the side that you touch when you're indoors, that you hang your pictures on and stuff like that. So that's how this is set up, for the exterior side up top and the interior side down bottom. But right now we're going to be working in the core boundary. Okay, the core boundary is the middle section of the wall that contains the material that holds the wall up. Okay, that is the real structure. Everything else is just for looks or for weather sealant or sealing properties, but not necessarily structure. Okay, now to adjust the structure, I'm going to click on the by category right here under the material column, and it gives me a little box with these 3 ellipses on it. I click on that. That's going to get me inside the wall. And what I'm going to use for the center, the very center material, is going to be softwood lumber, which is right here. Okay, click OK. And of course, I'm going to be using 2x4 construction. Okay, a 2x4 is actually, it's not 2 inches by 4 inches. It's actually 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Okay, you need to realize that. All right, so here, the side of the lumber, the dimension that I'm interested in is its widest dimension. And that will be the 3.5 inch dimension. So I'm going to type in here, I can type 3.5 if I want to. That saves me a little typing. And then of course the inch symbol, enter. So the lumber is inside in the middle, 3.5 inches. I need some more layers on here. I need several, so I'm just going to click insert about 4 or 5 times. Okay, so I want to make sure that I leave this structure, softwood lumber, exactly where it's at. I'm going to go to the level above that, the layer above that. I'm going to bring it down twice. So I'm going to I'm going to highlight it, click the down button. 1, 2. Okay, that's the only layer that I'm going to have for this house on the inside, on the interior layer. I'm going to go ahead and name it. Okay, so I'm going to click again on the by category under material. Okay, click on the box with the 3 ellipses, and I'm going to find Gypsum Wallboard. Okay, Gypsum Wallboard goes by many names. It is a kind of a rocky type material, a mineral type material that is pressed between paper. And some people call it drywall. Some people call it sheetrock. Some people call it wallboard. And then, of course, there's gypsum wallboard. Some just say the word gypsum. There's probably several other terms for that as well, but I'm choosing the gypsum wallboard to go on the inside. All I really have to do is click OK. It is not a structure. Okay, so I'm going to go under the function column and change this to a finish. Okay, doesn't matter which finish necessarily. What that does is that just kind of categorizes them by importance, and right now we really don't have an issue with the importance of whichever layer. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I need some outside material that's going to go on the exterior side. So I'm going to bump a few of these up above the core boundary. I'm going to bump this one up, and we'll say, okay, that one is going to be our this is going to be our what do you call it, lap board. I don't have anything for lap board. There is no material set aside for it. So I'm going to create a material, and I'm going to create that down here with this little ball. I'm going to click on that little ball, and it says create new material. When I do that, it pops in a default new material that kind of needs some information. I'm going to go to the Identity tab. Okay, and I'm going to name this default new material clapboard. And that goes by a couple of different names as well. I think most people call it clapboard. I call it lapboard with an L. I'll leave the C off. I think there's other names for it as well. And here, of course, if you know exactly what material you're going to use, and typically if you're really designing a house for real, you're going to need to know the material so that you can put all this other information in right here. But we're not going to go that far for certification. I'm going to go to the graphics, and I'm going to change it to the color that I want the material to be. And let's choose this brown color. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the Appearance tab, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now, the Appearance tab is where you can get a photorealistic image. You can place that image right here, and it'll look like that when you render it. I am just going to change the color, use the same color. I'm going to apply all of that, and then I'm going to click OK. So I've got that settled. Okay, and one other thing I forgot to do is I forgot to set a thickness for these materials. Okay, the finish layer on the inside, the gypsum wallboard, it's going to be 5 or 1/2 inches. Okay, and my clapboard is going to be about, we'll say, about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, now let's get back to business, and I need another layer. What I need is a substrate. Oh yeah, let me change the function of our clapboard while we're at it. This is also going to be a finish. Okay. Next, I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to move it up. Okay, so it comes in right up under the exterior finish. I have this one, which I'm going to change the function to substrate. By category, I'm going to choose a material, and it's going to be plywood sheathing. So I'm going to look down to the P's, plywood sheathing right there. Now, of course, there's many different types of plywood sheathing out on the market. You would actually have to be very specific with that one as well. Okay, and we're going to make this 3/4 of an inch. All right, after the substrate, actually, we need a vapor barrier, which is going to go on top of the substrate. Okay, so I'm going to go up twice. So now I have the finish, and then I'm going to have this vapor barrier, and then I've got my substrate. Change that to a membrane layer. Click on the materials and go all the way to the bottom to a vapor retarder. And that will be sufficient. No dimension is required for vapor retarder. It is very thin. It is paper thin. You don't have to put a dimension in there. So I've got finish, membrane layer, substrate. Those are really all the 3 layers before I get to my structure, which is the softwood lumber. So I made one too many layers. All I have to do is highlight the layer I don't want, and you can do this with any layer on any wall, and delete. So now I should have a pretty good wall going here. All right. And to get a preview, I'll click on the preview button down on the right, and you can see it actually shows the different layers. The drywall on the inside, the 2x4 construction in the middle, then we got that 3/4 inch substrate. The membrane layer is that paper layer. It's just going to be right between these two, and then the finish layer. I'm going to click OK, and then OK. Alright, so that wall should be done, and you can see a preview of it right over here under the properties. However, I still have more walls. I've got this one, okay, which it is not that wall type material. What I can do is I can select each one of the walls one by one and change them, or I can group select all of them like so. And if it'll let me change, it won't let me change. I think I've got a different wall material somewhere else. Let me just try selecting a few of them. See if that works. Wow, that still doesn't work. Okay, so what I need to do is I'm going to have to click on each one by one. Go to not edit type, because I've already created the wall that I'm going to keep, that I'm going to use for all of these walls. So I go to the type selector. This is called the type selector. And I'm going to click on that, and it pulls down a list of all the walls. Here's the one that I just created. So all I have to do now is click on that, and that wall assumes those properties. So go to each wall and click on it and get it to go to that type of wall. So this is how you edit wall materials. As I told you, it is pretty long. This would have made a 20-minute video if I would have done otherwise. You're probably glad I did it like I did. Okay? So there's your wall. Walls can be made of all types of materials. You'll learn more about walls as you go along. Give you an idea what this looks like in 3D. We'll just create a 3D view of it. We'll save the project. Okay, now we're in our 3D view. We can click realistic for color. And you can see now our walls are brown all the way around. Alright, so that's it for editing walls.